Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on Cabin Talk today. It's kind of cloudy, it's overcast, it's been foggy all morning long. Just literally, leaves are falling out of the trees, just literally beautiful. That's one of the reasons we chose this location. There's a slight breeze blowing. It's probably 65, 70 degrees right now. Not bad. I'd like for it to be a little cooler, but it's okay. Today is day 6 of Wanda and I working on the foundation here. We finished it today. I mean, I literally just finished it. I'm sitting here now. I still have concrete on my arms. Still got my water sitting here. We decided as soon as we finished that we'd do this video. Guys, it's been a journey. You know, I mean, this is something that's a joy for us to do. Now, it's been 6 days doing these few blocks and footings, but you have to realize, if I was a young guy, this had been 2 days, it'd have been over. But because Wanda and I is on up in age, we want this to be a fun project. We didn't get out here and try to kill ourselves doing it all at once. We've taken days, we work a few hours a day on it, and we go back and we just kind of crash, you know, because it took its toll on us. You start handling these heavy blocks, and I think we poured close to 80 bags of cement. Drove all the rebar, you know, the footings and all that kind of stuff, dug all them. Guys, this kind of stuff takes time and good health to do. And so, you know, don't get discouraged if it takes you time to do something. This is about a journey, guys. This is a love for us. Now, you know, the house I live in now, I built it by myself. It took me 4 years to build that house. And I was a young guy. This cabin, I don't know how long it's going to take me to build it. I hope it don't take 4 years, but I mean, we're going to do it, and we're going to enjoy doing it. And that's what I tell people. Don't make your dream a drudgery. Make it a joy. This has been a joy for Wanda and I. We get over here, we get to cutting up. You know, we're going back and forth on the tractor, getting cement, mixing it up. We're cutting up, you know, Wanda's sitting on front of the tractor, riding on the bucket in the hood, and we'll go by a tree. She'll grab a persimmon off and throw it up in the air. Well, because we're driving, it'll land back where I'm at, and I'll catch it and pitch it back up to her, you know, just playing as we go back and forth. Just stuff like that to make it a joy. And you know, and y'all may see some stuff on Wanda's video as she's laying on the hood on her back, and while I'm driving down the road, she's got the camera taking pictures of the skies and the tops of trees and different things like that, just having a good time. And that's what this journey is all about. You know, and we, you know, guys, look, we get flack just like anybody else about doing this. And that's okay. You know, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. A lot of people don't understand. Mainly, a lot of the millennialists, you know, they don't really get what we do. And that makes me sad in a lot of ways, because, you know, they grew up in an era and a time when things, you know, they was in the age of AI, artificial intelligence, and they didn't get to experience a lot of the things that a lot of the older ones of us have got to experience. And to me, that's sad, because they have so many questions that are unanswered. And Wanda and I are trying now to actually help a young lady that has a YouTube channel, and you know, we're trying our best to get the right people in her life to make her successful, because she does fall into that category of being a millennialist. But she has a mentality that she wants to be reliant, self-reliant. And that's, guys, that's encouraging to us. So, you know, and I know you think about, what does that have to do with Cabin Talk? Well, that has everything in the world to do with Cabin Talk. So many people ask us, you know, they tell us, they said, yeah, but y'all got it made, you have land, you're able to build a cabin, stuff like that, you know, y'all just have it made. Well, guys, look, this right here can be done by anybody. Now, you know, is it hard work? Yes, it's hard work. And there are those that have disabilities, and I understand that. I have, you know, I'm limited right now, very limited. That's why it took us 6 days just to do these few little footings right here in blocks. But guys, that's the thing I was talking about someone being a millennialist and someone coming up in our time. During our time, you had to figure out how to do things. And it meant having a brain that worked in that way. We didn't have the option of Googling something or picking up a cell phone and stuff like that. We didn't have those options. When we were coming up, if we was going to do something like this, you had to just get out there and do the best you could do. Now, we might not have had concrete, and we might not have had concrete blocks and anchor bolts, and we didn't have codes and all that kind of stuff. We might have just put piers in the ground, some light poles or something like that, and sawed them all off. You know, we might have cemented them in the ground or just tamped them in and, you know, put some rocks around them and stuff like that and sawed the tops of them all off level and built a house on it. Or we might have just stacked up a bunch of big rocks in the corners and got them all level and put a little mortar between them and called that our piers. Guys, it's all the same. I mean, back then we did whatever we had to do. It's no different today. There's codes today. Every state has a codes. Now, whether they enforce them or not, that's up to the state. But even though Wanda and I are building by code, doesn't mean anything. It just means we have to figure out how we're going to do it. We get out here and we look and we ponder and we go over things and we try to figure out what needs doing and how we need to do it. And you know, I know a lot of people is going to ask me, well, why is your piers up in the air? You know, my piers are sticking up out of the ground about 4 inches and they're tapered off on the corners. I do that to shed water and for some, you know, there's other reasons why I do it. Mainly is the environment that we live in here. You know, where we live at in the Deep South, we have termite issues. And to show you how bad the termites are, Wanda and I probably 3 and maybe 3.5 weeks ago drove the batter boards around this thing to get ready to start doing this. I pulled them up about 15 minutes ago. The termites had already started eating on this stick. 3.5 weeks. That's how fast it happens here. That's why we take the precautions that we take. We don't lay anything on the ground. 8 inches off the ground, they'll still get it. I had a set of sawhorses built in front of my shop there the other day. I put treated flat pieces of wood on the bottom of them so they wouldn't be sitting directly on the ground. They sat there for a couple of weeks while I was doing some particular projects. I went back yesterday to move them. One whole leg was already eaten completely off by termites. These are infestations that we deal with here in the South. Now, I know up north y'all don't have to deal with them as bad as we do because your ground freezes. A lot of people have asked me, Danny, can you get away with putting the kind of footings in here that you put? And I can't believe that you're not going any deeper in the ground than you are. Guys, our ground doesn't freeze here. Now, it may freeze an inch or two or something like that. It's very rare, but it has happened. But we don't have any heaving of the ground when it gets cold here. Most of our water lines are buried between 12 and 16 inches deep. They're not that deep. Most of our footings are about 12 to 16 inches deep. They're not that deep. The cabin here, because it's such a small building and so light and so many footings underneath it, you know, we just went 8 inches deep with ours and put the rebar in them and the rod chairs and stuff like that, which will more than hold this cabin up. You know, we've got steel tied all the way to the bottom to the top with the anchor bolts sticking out. And we got one more video to show y'all on the foundation before we actually start putting the seals in, and that'll be the termite shields and stuff like that. We'll be showing you how we put them on and how we prepare for that kind of stuff. That'll be one of the things that'll be coming up in one of the next videos. But guys, you know, in order to do a project like we're doing here, one of the lost things that's, that I see that the newer generation doesn't have is called visualization. Even Wanda is amazed at a lot of times how I'm able to visualize something. That's why in my life as a construction guy, I was able to do as successful as I was of a job, was because I can visualize something before I ever build it. And this cabin is no different than that. Lots of times I'll lay in bed at night before I go to sleep, or I might wake up in the middle of the night thinking about this cabin, and I walk myself through every phase of it to make sure that in my mind I automatically know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And you know, a lot of people say, "Oh man, you're just worrying yourself to death." It has nothing to do with worry. It's called using your head and being wise. Because I will say probably 99.5 times out of 100, the things that I have visualized in my mind and walked through usually happen when I'm building a structure. And every time I got to that point where I had to stop and think about what the next phase I would be going through, or how I was going to fix this situation, I would always go back and remember that thought train that I had while I was laying in bed at night, and how did I reason it out. And it's helped me get through my jobs a whole lot simpler, and it makes it a lot easier if you can see the project in your mind before you actually do the project. That, my friend, is called visualization, and it makes jobs like building these cabins and stuff like that a whole lot easier. The age that we live in today, a lot of people are so used to instant gratification that they just settle for a shed. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the best you can do, then that's fine. As a matter of fact, I considered it because of my health. Wanda and I went and looked at sheds. And once we sit down and thought about it, and looked at, literally, I mean, we literally looked at, you know, what we was going to have to sacrifice on the look of the building and stuff like that to end up with a shed. In our mind, we just made our mind up. You know, financially, it wasn't feasible for us to go that route, because we'd have to come up with a lot of money all at once, and then we'd end up having to pay it back on notes, which is something we're trying to stay away from and trying to avoid. And it would have taken, having to make a monthly payment on something like this would have taken a lot of the joy out of just owning it and having it. So we decided we'd just build it as we go. And you know, the thing about this block foundation is, if it sits here 6 months, if it sits here a year, and we don't get anything else done on it because we don't have the resources, that's fine, because it's not going anywhere and it's not going to hurt it to sit out in the weather. And when we start building the floor on this thing, everything we do underneath the house will be treated wood, simply because of the termite issue, and then secondly, because it may have to sit in the weather for months before we actually are able to get it blacked in. And that's okay, guys. But that's one of the reasons why we did not go with the shed. The shed has little 7-foot ceilings. I could have got an 8-foot. They told me they would do 8-foot. One company even told me they would come on the site here and actually build what I wanted. And that was okay. And I almost went that route. But there again, for the amount of money they wanted to come here on this job and build this building, I could have bought the material for half that price. And when I look at something like that and I see that the material is only going to cost me half the price, I'm going to try to do it myself. And guys, this is like one of my videos mentioned. This is my last time, you know, to actually build a structure. I don't know if my health will allow me to actually, I hope it allows me to finish this one, but if it doesn't, that's okay if we have to get somebody else to finish it, but I want to say that I at least had a part in it. And I know there's a lot of you out there that says, well, I don't have any kind of construction experience. I don't know anything about doing this. Well, guys, there's so many YouTube videos out there that it's what I've showed you here, what we've done to put a foundation in should allow you to put a foundation in, because I took you step by step. I've showed you every detail. It's just a matter of just doing it. And I guess y'all hear the hawks in the background. Boy, they're going wild this morning. And guys, you know, a lot of people say, well, it's impossible for me to be able to do this. And you know, we talked about this at the gathering for Deep South this past week. There's no reason anybody can't do this. What holds people back is debt. And it was never intended for man to live in debt. You know, we have some things. Now, I have a tractor now, which puts me in debt. But Wanda and I spend every dime we can paying that debt down before it's due. I hardly ever go the full term on a note. I'll sacrifice, I'll do without, I'll do whatever I have to do to get that thing paid for. And that's how you do stuff. You snowball stuff to get out from under it. But guys, to build a cabin this size, this is a 16 by 32. A husband and wife could live in this cabin comfortably. We're going to have a porch around two sides of it, an 8-foot porch. Part of it will probably be screened in because of the insects here. Guys, there's no reason why most people can't do it, because I will probably walk away from this thing with less than $15,000 in it. And I know what people are going to say, because they're already saying it. Oh my gosh, there's no way I could afford $15,000. That's just so much money. Well, it all depends on where your priorities are at. It depends on what you want to do. Because you're living in something now. You're paying for something now. You know, you're paying rent, or you're paying a house note, you're paying all this stuff. If this is your dream, take it from an older guy. Live it while you're young. Do this while you're young. And literally, guys, live the dream in your younger years. A lot of people go, well, I got to go to a job. You know, I get that, because I went to a job for years. But I went to that job to pay for things that society said that I'm supposed to have. New truck, big home, you know, trips, vacations, all these things. It wasn't until I realized that where my priorities were that I actually buckled down. Took me about 7 years, like I've told y'all, to pay myself out of debt. Didn't go anywhere, didn't go out to eat, didn't go to those movies, didn't buy any toys, cut the power bill way back, sit at home, raise my own food, didn't go to the grocery store spending all my money, got myself out of debt. Now I can live my dream. And that's what it's all about, guys. Living the dream. You know, it's an achievable goal, let me say that. It's a goal that can be achieved fairly easily once priorities are put in place. And there's nothing that does my heart any better than to do something like this particular project and know that there are those out there that are doing the same exact thing. Because you're sending me, I'm getting messages after messages. talking about I'm following you every step of the way because we're doing the same exact things and we're looking to learn from you. Guys, that's where the joy comes from, is being able to teach somebody. Now, do I have to do this the way I'm doing it? No. I talked to the code office. They told me I didn't have to do anything if I didn't want to. I could just come out here and put up whatever I wanted to, as long as I was going to call it a hunting camp or a weekend retreat or whatever. But if it becomes a dwelling place, then it has to fall under code. And guys, I don't know. You never know when you build something what it's going to end up being. So why not just do it right to start with, instead of trying to cut corners? A lot of people say, well, I want to go organic with mine. I don't want to use all refurbished material. That's fine. My house that you see me living in, over half of it's refurbished material. Nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean it has to look trashy. Refurbished material can be made to look nice if you know how to make it look nice. And that's what I want to take y'all along on this journey right here. I want to show you how to use natural products to build something and make it look nice. Well, I guess I've gone on long enough today, guys. I'm probably going to stop there and tell y'all I appreciate you for tuning in to our cabin talk and our cabin time. I hope it's a blessing to you. I pray that you can learn something from watching these videos, and keep your notifications set, because we're going to have another one coming out here pretty soon about the termite issues and how we take care of it here in the South. And thank you from Deep South Homestead.